All right, welcome to this week's another fantasy football show. A little bit better with the fade.
Nice. I
Fading
like
in the
it.
music.
We're getting there.
Joined by Taylor, Justin, and a super special guest, Ronald, our key staff writer here at Sports Injury Central, covering all things college. He's got all the fantasy football info. We had him in the company league last year, but so we have to get him on and get his thoughts before we actually do the draft.
Yeah, that wasn't my best performance, but I was just trying to fill everyone out this year. I think I'm.
That's good.
You're
That's
just
good.
making friends, sir. Now you lose the friends. Now you start doing it. Yeah.
We'll be going over Taylor's rankings. We might get to some sleepers and avoids later on. Taylor, where do you want to start? I'm sure. Do you want to start with your humble brag that you told me on the phone earlier this week?
No, you start with it because I honestly forgot.
All right. So last year was your first year doing rankings through Fantasy Pros, correct? And you did all three major sports.
Yeah,
I don't know as well, I believe.
I did hockey and baseball. Hockey's probably out now. I just don't know the ranking of that. Yeah, I do know what you're talking about now. Yeah.
So, but for the football one, entered it in. I don't know how many people entered those in, but you finished 171 as far as accuracy last year. So that's doesn't seem like a great number, but it's nothing to sniff at because there's like hundreds and hundreds of people putting in there, right?
I delved in the number a little bit. So do you remember my biggest? I don't know if you guys. We went on the podcast. We talked about it before. What was my worst call last year? If you guys remember.
Tight end, I believe.
Yes.
It was you wanted somebody there way too high, right?
Was that Kyle Pitts?
I think it might have been Pitts. Yeah.
Everyone.
Anyways.
Yeah.
No. Everybody did fumble the bag. He dropped the bank. The bank exploded.
Yeah. So I was ranked like 242 or something. It was like every single like QB, running back, wide receiver. I'm like 150, 130, trying to like teetering. That was 240s. That pushed me down the rankings because I missed. It was Kyle Pitts and it had to be more because that's not just one miss. That's a couple. That's a couple hundred misses.
That's a domino effect.
Yeah. So no, 171 is not bad. There's a lot of couple analysts and stuff that are in that I respect that I don't think I'm better than, that I saw a little bit ranked below me, but it's just accuracy. It's tough. Like just being able to rank every single position and having them fall in that, in that category in 17 weeks is difficult. And I know there's multiple people that they finish top 5 every single year for 5 years straight. Like this is something like they gear themselves toward. So it's an accomplishment. I don't want to say 171 is nice. I would like to be top 150 this year. That would be a good number.
Start.
Ooh, okay.
We learned our Kyle Pitts lessons. So,
but yeah, I did look up, and tight end was a key reason why I fell apart last year. Yeah.
Well, let me talk some injuries real quick. Quick plug for the website if you don't know, sickscore.com, SIC score. Have all the latest insights on all fantasy relevant players and beyond, including O-line and defensive players and stuff like that. But obviously, focus on fantasy here, just to catch people up. Cooper Kupp just got announced. We're recording this Thursday afternoon. Just got announced setback with the hamstring strain. Sean McVay said he's day-to-day. We were talking about earlier. Day-to-day now doesn't mean day-to-day. It's week-to-week usually. So not looking good for week 1. We'll see how that affects his draft position. I know a lot of people probably already drafted or are heading into draft weekend. So definitely an interesting time for his ADP to slide. Jaxon Smith-Njigba was at practice with that wrist, had a soft cast on, soft cast brace, something like that. But so encouraging to see him catch passes. But we talked to Doc, and he still thinks week 1's kind of out of the question. It's more of a ball security and blocking issue. I mean, in my life, I've never seen a wide receiver play with a brace, and it seems like that's what he's going to have to do if he plays week 1. So good that he can avoid IR. We talked about it in the other Pro Football Doc podcast that decision's kind of still up in the air because he can't be placed Saturday right before the game and still land on IR. So kind of same thing for Jeudy. Good that he avoided IR early, but not good that they were considering it because that means they're kind of targeting week 4 as a maybe day for him to come back.
That one worries me a little bit. I remember Schefter just had on his podcast, a fantasy one. He's like, "Oh, this is what my official reporting," but like they're signing a bunch of receivers. I mean, they just signed Philip Dorsett the other day. I know they lost Tim Patrick and they have a couple other injuries, but they're calling around a lot for wide receivers. So he thinks that the Jeudy issue might be more of a 6 to 8 week thing, which would be, He's already probably at like 4 or 3 right now. So that's trickling in 3. But I mean, if it's that long, I mean, that's you're already taking 4 games off of it. That's something you have to drop. You have to drop Jeudy in your rankings if that's the case.
Hamler's not even in the picture, right?
he has the heart thing. That's another thing. That's why, like, I was kind of like didn't really believe the report as much because Schefter, they do need receivers regardless if Jeudy's hurt or not, right? They're already losing them left and right. So I don't want to believe it too much, but I mean like you just saw with Kupp, hamstring's not just like 4 weeks, he sits around, whatever. I could see the way Kupp happened. He sat around, they waited to close to the season. We're now closer to the season. They probably ramped up a little bit, and boom, that ramp up. He had a little setback. You can't just jump off your couch and your hamstring ready to go. I know he's not sitting on his couch, but like that's something like that. Those are linger. That's why when you get things like that's why the doc in our our injury site we're so worried about hamstrings so close to the season because like you pick that up and then boom, that's something not only you don't get over quickly, but it trickles into the season. You could have setbacks easily.
Probably the reason why JSN is out there running routes too, because you don't want him to just sit around waiting for the wrist and then try to get back up to speed. It's like it's not the legs aren't the issue, so might as well have him out there and doing stuff.
And he's a rookie, right? If I was a rookie and if I can go on the field 10%, I feel like I would have to, right? You're learning, you have to learn, you need to absorb all the information, right? Like I think it's better, even if he doesn't look good. You saw him bobble to catch. He still needs to be out there learning stuff, I think.
Yeah.
Well, Taylor, let's jump right in. Give us your top 10 wide receivers. Feel free to adjust Cooper Kupp on the fly.
Okay, so I won't too much because I think I have him actually pretty low. So if you're going to go Kupp, let me see here. He's in my 10th wide receiver. I already have him at 10th. I'll trap 9 people have had him. I mean, like think about these: Garrett Wilson, CeeDee Lamb, AJ Brown, Amon St. Brown, who I'm really high on this year because Josh Goff, I believe his name is.
Yeah. On this podcast, he's Josh Goff, but in the real world, it's Jared.
Yes. Diggs, Tyreek Hill, Chase, and Jefferson. Those are all wide receivers I would draft above Kupp right now. I know some people, they're on him, but we also have issues with Stafford. He has that issue with his back, right? That's our neck, right? So that's something that if he gets hit, he's out long-term. And that's not something that is – Kupp's not going to be sustainable with any backup, right? I know he's good, but that's going to hurt his value. But yeah, Jefferson, Chase, Hill, those are the top 3. I don't think you guys have any issues with them. You can't really take those away. There's some people maybe putting Hill over Chase, but those are pretty much the top 3 in any draft you go into right now, right? Diggs, 4. I got St. Brown at 5. I don't know what you guys think of that. That's a big one. He's 9 normally. So that's about 4 or 5 spots ahead of normal. We have to believe him a little bit, right? But
yeah, I don't hate it. Obviously, everything's just not going to be chalk what it was last year. And right. if it was, I mean, you got to think Amon-Ra St. Brown's probably going to be better than last year. I mean, it's another year in the offense. I think that offense is awesome. I want to get as many pieces as I can of that. Even David Montgomery, I know we talked about him last year. I might still be a little bit in on him too this year. But the Lions, I think as a whole, their offense is explosive, and I do think Amon-Ra is definitely the best wide receiver on the team. And there won't be any competition from Jamison Williams for a considerable amount of time. Yeah.
He gets a lot of catches. I mean, he's just a catch magnet. In PPR leagues, he's going to get a lot of receptions. And I think they do have a new tight end who I've heard has been getting some goal line work.
Yeah.
So, but someone else has to catch touchdowns. It's not just going to be a rookie tight end with 10 touchdowns. Someone else has to catch some touchdowns there.
And that was kind of his like small, like, sorry, my name Jacob. That was like his one like small thing. He didn't catch touchdowns. He would work you down the field, and then like they'd have some random touchdown at three touchdowns.
Well, Jamal Williams last year was 1 yard touchdown king. He's gone.
But he would get you to that point. That's the one thing. If Brown is going to finish where I have him right now, he needs to catch maybe 4 more touchdowns than he last year. He needs to be an 8 to 10 touchdown guy, which is something I think he can be.
I was just going to point out that these are PPR rankings. Not half point, not no point. So
they're half PPR.
These are half PPR rankings.
I have to conform to society apparently.
Okay.
Society does love that half point.
If society was up to Taylor, it'd be PPR all the way.
When you do the rankings for Fantasy Pros with all the accuracy, they do half PPR.
They do half
which is what normally Justin keeps telling me that's what normal people draft like. But
that's what the commoners do.
Yeah.
The commoners don't add IDP slots to our company league.
Oh no. I you know what? I noticed that. I was a little scared. I got to be honest.
14-teamer with some IDP. That's gonna be fun.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Justin. You gave me the keys. Like,
I know. Well, I mean, I wasn't gonna not do that, but I knew there was risks involved, and we'll see how this pans out.
All right, should we go to running backs, Taylor?
All right, yeah, running backs. Let me find these right here. All right, so top 10, McCaffrey. I got Chubb over Eckler. That's the first question I want to ask you guys. What do you think about that? I've talked to Jake about this multiple times. It's really hard for me to draft Eckler. I feel like I've watched him so many times, and he doesn't really look like an effective runner. PPR wise, even half PPR, the way he catches like a top 10 wide receiver. So you always have to take that into consideration. But he scores touchdowns though. Like every year you think he had 20 the year, and you're like, oh, there's going to be TD regression. He regressed to 16. Like that's not a small regression. He's still scoring. I do like Kellen Moore there. For a passing standpoint, I think once we go to QBs, I'll jump that now. I think Herbert's he's very high on my list. I think Kellen Moore, Ronald, you're a Cowboys fan. You saw the way he spreads the offense, that it opens up more for the wide receivers vertically than, dump off passes to the running back as much. I know Pollard was effective, but I just think Eckler's not going to be the focal point anymore. I think they're going to pass more. And then you had the issue with the sternum, right? He had the rib issue. Herbert did. He wasn't throwing well for the majority of the weeks in the middle of the season. So I don't like Eckler. But he's still free though. I mean, he's not. I think Chubb without Kareem Hunt is going to have a lot of opportunities to do stuff. I know he doesn't catch the ball, but it's like a Derrick Henry thing. He didn't catch the ball a lot, but like the last year you saw, he did add that. You can start catching it and start, getting better. Josh Jacobs did it as well. That's why he was one of the top running backs last year. Barkley's 4, Jacobs 5. Bijan 6. I don't know what you guys think of that. I just don't like rookie running backs. I know he's good. He's RB4 in most rankings.
Yeah, I can speak on that because I just did a draft over the weekend. I was at 9 and I picked Bijan at 9. I felt pretty good about it, but the next pick was Chubb. Like I picked Bijan over Chubb, and I was like, it was a coin flip for me. And as soon as I picked Bijan, I'm like, I'm excited to have him, and I think he's gonna do. He's so good.
You start talking yourself into it.
I immediately was like, I know at the end of the year when I look back at this draft, I'm gonna regret not taking Nick Chubb at that spot. I just because if there's a slight uptick in catches, if Nick Chubb is catching balls, then he's going to the moon. Like it's crazy.
They have shown Bijan going against corners though in practice. I mean, if training camp means anything, Bijan's been going against safeties allegedly in linebackers.
Yes.
But they do have another running back as well, which scares me.
Algier,
1,000 yards last year. And they have Cordell Patterson.
Yeah,
at the end of the first round is steep for Bijan. I think it's like the little bit of rookie excitement. People want to own him. He's a fun guy to own, great person, all that. So it's like it bumps his ADP up about 5 spots. Early second round, I think would be good value for him, but I don't know.
Key thing Ronald mentioned though, if he does catch like he does that we've seen like that, that's already top 5 right there. Because Jacobs, I'm worried Jacobs isn't going to catch the ball as much. Jimmy G does not do that as much with the running backs, so that's a different offense. Jacoby.
That's why he gets hurt. He never dumps it out to running back.
Yeah. So like that, if Robinson catches just a little bit what we've seen, these are veteran linebackers, Ronald, that we're seeing in these videos, right? Like he is like dusting them. These are like so any receiving ability that I think it's already going to be lower. I don't know. He still has to figure his stuff out in the NFL, but if that jumps a little bit, then I'll be wrong and he'll be.
Is he the starter? I'm pretty sure he's the starter, but is he been announced as the starter?
Well, every team does this 2 running back BS now, right? Fantasy, we can never find like even CMC. You have to worry about Elijah Mitchell some games. He has those boom weeks. It happens. So, like Stevenson, that's my next guy after Robinson. Elliott's there. He's going to steal touchdowns. We know that. That's the one. That's why Elliott, I'm not as scared of because there's no receiving ability that Elliott is taking from him. There's nothing that none of that value is being taken. So you still have that, but the touchdowns is a worrisome thing. That's why I maybe would have put him up. I do like Stevenson. I liked him a lot last year when he went off, but that's an issue. Tony Pollard's at 8. I have Derrick Henry at 9, and I have Mixon at 10. Which I have above Etienne. I know Mixon's dealing with this crazy stuff he's been doing. He has court case after court case he's doing. But there's nobody there. Like Chase Brown's rookie, he looks nice, but I mean that's a good offense. Collins is injured, the right tackle. That's going to be a little bit of an issue, but I would say currently I'm not. Mixon has it's like Chubb. There's nothing there. Mixon caught the ball finally last year. We've all been waiting for Mixon to get a little bit receiving ability. He did it last year. He was a top 10. He can do it again. Like He's drafted at 9 now. I have him at 10, but there's value that you could have that he could be better than some of the running backs we talked about.
What do you guys think about Najee this year? You have him at 12, expert consensus at 11. It just seems like a make or break year for him.
It's the foot thing. How much can you blame the foot? Like we talked about the list, Frank. We thought it was a little bit of an issue, but we didn't think it was a major issue. I don't remember ever saying like that's the reason why, but like he did play really well at the end of the season.
So did the Steelers in general, yeah.
I don't know what
Everyone
you guys.
seems to love
You
their
guys
backup, though.
drafted. That's a good team, though, too. That's a completely healthy team. There, if you look at their field view on Six Score, we're going to have in a couple days. No injuries on the defense, no injuries on the offense of significance. So that's a team that's a good division too, right? The Ravens, they're a little bit iffy with the Marlon Humphrey situation. Burrow in the offensive line with the cornerback Uze not great. Could they sneak in and get that 8.5 win total? Najee's a key part. Can he do it? Because like Najee, like you said, he needs to be fed the ball to get those stats. He's not like 15 guys. He's getting like a long touchdown. His longest run, I think, was 22. I think they were making fun about that in preseason because Jalen Warren, he goes crazy like down the field. He's good. That's what people are scared about him.
I think that's part of what's baked into just when I see him on the draft board. I don't really mess with it because I do think just watching Jalen Warren looks better. It's just not exciting. Like there's not a lot to be excited about with Najee Harris. I'm not saying he's bad. There's a lot of running backs that aren't very exciting. Joe Mixon's one of them. It's just they're going to get a lot of, they're starting for an NFL team and they're going to get a lot of work. Mm-hmm. Probably going to score some touchdowns. Especially if the offense in Pittsburgh is better, he's going to fall into the end zone a few times. But I do, like I said, I guess if I was forced to get Najee Harris, I would make it a point to make sure I find Jalen Warren later in the draft just to be sure. Because if something happens with Harris or something gets weird and they give it to Warren more,
Warren's going to have a good week.
He's going to be looking awesome. Yeah.
And the offensive line, let's talk about completely healthy. Go on, James.
Yeah. No, I was just say the offensive line can't be worse than last year, so that's a plus for both of them.
Yes.
Looking at your running back list, not a surprise. You talked about it last week, but James Conner is your big running back target of the year. Expert consensus is 22. You have him as RB 14 ahead of Kenneth Walker, Jahmyr Gibbs, Dameon Pierce.
Gibbs, I like him, but like I don't rookie running back seems weird on, and he's so receiving based. Like talk about your boy. I'll agree with you for the first time ever, Justin, about this guy. David Montgomery is going to do Jamal Williams stuff this year. He might score 100 touchdowns. He's literally going to get the St. Brown stuff.
No exaggeration.
He's going to get the Laporta stuff. They're all going to work him down the field. He might have like games where he has 2 carries for like -5 yards, but like 4 touchdowns. How do you score 4 touchdowns, 2 carries?
You got to be that good. You're that good.
Yeah, but like
Jamal Williams did last year.
But Gibbs is still going to find his way down the field with him. He's so good. He can line up in the slot. That's useful for a running back. That's you unheard of when you see stuff like that. Use him like that. Use him between attack. He's just outside on the outside. He's not going to between the tackle kind of runner though. So I see Montgomery just getting those touchdowns and just eating that value. Kenneth Walker. I'm beginning of the offseason. I was not as much scared of Charbonnet. I think Charbonnet is going to eat a little bit. He looks pretty good in watching preseason. He looks like he's a tough runner. He's going to spell Walker. It looked like Walker got hurt when he was used too much. So, and he is a good runner though. So you're going to want to keep Walker fresh for that Seahawks team that has aspirations this year. Dameon Pierce, just look at the offensive line. Offensive line sucks. It's terrible. Like they already got 3 injuries already. They had to trade from a bad Steelers offensive line to get help, so it's just you don't want to have that. You have Devin Singletary there. He's a veteran. They just brought him in. I don't know what he's going to do, but he's going to do something. So, I mean, all those running backs, I'd rather have Connor. I don't know about you. I know Murray's not there. There's not a lot of big passing. They might stash Josh Dobbs. They just got him 2 days ago. So they're already showing that they want Caleb Williams. We all can see it. So that's already going to be inner turmoil because they're drafting a quarterback, right? They have Murray. So they're already dealing with some other stuff on that team. So let Connor just run the ball. Don't pass the ball ever. That's what I think. And
I think the scariest part about that is if I'm gonna pick a running back on a bad team, I probably would between Connor and like a Dameon Pierce. I probably lean Dameon Pierce just because he's younger and I don't know, just because there's just gonna be probably more explosive plays. I just don't see the Cardinals saying we're tanking. Let's give James Conner 300 carries because I don't think he'll make it even remotely close to 300 carries without exploding. I'd be curious to see what he looks like at this stage in his career with the flippancy of that offense. Like they're literally just they don't care. Like you said, they're very clearly tanking.
Right.
What is that going to do for everybody if they're just saying go out there and play some ball? I don't know what that's going to look like for James Conner in that offense. It's going to be gross. I think anybody in that offense, I should say. But my philosophy is if you're a bad team, bad offense, maybe I'll find a pass catcher in there. Hopefully you're throwing it with enough volume. But the problem is all their pass throwers in that offense are disgusting. So I don't know. It's a wait and see on that one for me.
Yeah,
looking at Damian Pierce is a 42 ADP, James Conner 61. So
yeah,
big
I'm
old
high.
gap. So
You
it
don't
kind of
have to
depends
be
where
high.
you're drafting.
It's okay.
No, I respect it. I'm not knocking you for it. I'm just saying I'm not you. I'm not that guy. I can't be that guy.
He's not exchanging a Damian Pierce for James Conner.
I'd be scared to draft James knowing that. But he's going to get volume, but they're going to be able to move the ball. Like, who's the offensive line there is pretty bad as well.
It's pretty bad. Yes, I agree with that.
He'll get 2 carries on a 3 play drive, pretty consistently, right? That's
That's nice.
Yeah, that couldn't be terrible.
As far as offensive line off the top of my head, I'm really having a time right now. Maybe DJ Humphrey still there?
Humphreys is still there. They drafted Paris Johnson, but he's not going to be playing position for a year. So I get it's not great. They just lost Rodney Hudson, I believe, too. So it's not a good offensive line. He scored 15 touchdowns 2 years ago, so he can do it, and it was all behind that bad offensive line too. So no, I get it. I'll listen to you. Don't worry.
I'm saying week 1, you might come back week 1 after our first episode after that and be like, look at James Conner, man, 120 and 2 touchdowns. Because there's going to be, I'm saying there's going to be one. Obviously, I think they're playing the Commanders week 1.
Yes.
I just think there's going to be at least 1 week where everything goes Cardinals' way because they're just right now. No one thinks they're going to win any football games, and that's just It's really hard to not win, especially now that there's 17 games. It's going to be really hard to not win one.
They don't want to. It's hard to win when you don't want to win.
Right. Well, let's think. I doubt the players don't want to. Like the players, will have that like spite you game, and I don't know if it's going to come early. If it does, you might look like a genius.
For sure.
I'll say James Conner has that week, trade him, but also don't know. I don't know who you're gonna offload him to for value. So
you need a week 1 explosion. He gets like 200 yards.
Yeah.
Maybe he'll be a call. We'll see what happens with Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah, he needs something out there.
All right, should we do tight ends next?
Tight ends, yes. Did we do QBs yet?
We haven't done QBs yet. Let's save tight ends for last because I am curious where your darling from last year.
That's where
Kyle Pitts,
I start to get not listening to me. Yeah. Mahomes, Allen, Hurts. That's 1, 2, 3. I get Hurts, but I don't know. So I still think he's learned how to throw. I'm a hater. I hated on him last year. Obviously, he did more
just
than
digging
that.
your heels in the ground. You're like, I watched it. I don't care. I'm a hater.
You heard me wrong last year, but it's not going to happen 2 years in a row.
Yeah, because he's doing too much to not think he's doing good. You know what I mean? So
he's still top 3, right? You just said he's top 3 on his list. So that's not bad.
He's 3. He's just he's QB 2 in the rankings. I think I spitefully put him 3. You know,
it's hard. It's hard with Allen and Mahomes to say that. Yeah, it's not that. I don't think that those are interchangeable. I think.
For sure. Herbert's 4 for me. He's QB 7 normally. So I have him over Jaxon and Burrow. What are your thoughts on there? I just love that offense. Yeah. I just think he's going to throw. I think he could have 5,000 yards this year. They're not going to run that ball. There's no reason to run in that offense.
I remember the Cowboys, I think it was 2020 when Dak leg essentially snapped in half. He was on pace to break the yardage record, if anybody remembers.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was scoring crazy. Yes.
And his arm is nowhere near Justin Herbert's arm. So, I mean, they just drafted another receiver. Also Austin Eckler had 120 targets last year. He's probably not get that again.
Wide receiver. He's a good wide receiver.
Wide receiver this time. So Quentin Johnson, who they just drafted, I'm assuming take 60 of those targets away. Josh
Palmer's good. And if he's the 4, then I'm going to line 4 wide receivers, take an offensive line off the field, and just 4 verts with that Madden play. Just 4 verts every play. just I don't know. But I think there's a lot of value. Jaxon, I like him over Burrow because I like the way they finally built around him. He's been thrown to who's the Devernay and stuff. Those are people that don't work there. They're good. We talk about Scantling, verticals. They're not something that can work down the field. Can't rely on Andrews so much. Beckham's going to be good. Zay Flowers looks amazing in preseason and camp. Hopefully that translates. He was awesome at BC. And then the Dobbins, another year healthy. Hopefully he can figure his stuff out. It looked like that pup situation when he was on camp might have been more contract related. So hopefully he's not dealing with more knee stuff. Gus Edwards is another year off the ACL. I love Gus Edwards. Remember a couple years ago, 3rd and 4th quarters, you're getting bulldozed by him if they're up by 3 points. And
how old is Gus Edwards? Because man, I feel like he's always been the backup. Yeah, Dobbins I know isn't super old, but I feel like Gus Edwards has just been eternal as the backup guy.
28, yeah.
It's not even that old, but it just feels
It's
like
not.
we've been talking about him for like
Running
5
back
years
years, though.
straight. Yeah. I mean, yeah, he's
got a lot of
still
mileage,
hanging.
Yeah.
Joe Burrow at 6. I know the first couple weeks he might not be able to rush, but I mean he rushes 200 yards a year. It's not crazy. Justin Fields at 7. He's usually QB6. I still don't know if he can throw properly. That's my Hurts hate as well. Propping in.
Dropped him one spot down because of that.
Yeah.
I did draft him last year, and he is a game changer because I had him at maybe 13th quarterback. His rushing ability is off the charts. It's just as good as like the best passer's passing ability. You know what I mean? Like Justin Fields changes the game. He's scoring from like 20 yards, like 20 from his own 20. You know, he's just making moves, making plays. So like,
I think
that's valuable.
I think anybody would love to have their RB1 that is also the throwing passes.
Yes.
Like, you know what I mean? And I feel like that's really what Justin Fields is. So yeah, I mean, even if he's a bad passer still, the fact that he's still throwing passes means there's a chance for some extra on top of an RB1 performance. So that, yeah, I agree. He's still somebody
yards rushing last year.
Yeah, so I'm still in on him.
Rush for 100 and have like 3 total touchdowns. And that was like a QB.
Awesome. Yeah.
He's definitely something. I just can't put him. His passing needs to have a Hurts step to be a top 5 because he has that rushing. He has the Hurts. Hurts has the rushing too. But I'd say the Fields is elite rushing. That's different. Trevor Lawrence at 8. That's his rankings 8 too. I think he just keeps on going up. Doug Peterson figured him out. He needed someone that understood, not Urban Meyer, right? Like, so that's good. Etienne should have another good year as well, right? What do you guys think about? We never mentioned it. What do you guys think of Calvin Ridley? Like, he's obviously going to make him better, but how much better do we think he will make Lawrence? Can it make Lawrence better than Fields in fantasy? It's a possibility, right?
I mean, clearly from a passing standpoint, it's just really how much Fields. That's hard to compare because Fields is like first look is I'm going to run, and if I can't run, then I'll throw.
Rankings. That's what I'm trying to think. Like if you don't get Fields, you're probably going Lawrence. You know, so I mean,
I like Fields more because of the rushing.
Yeah.
And I think really is good. What first does anybody know how old Calvin really is? Can anybody take a guess? I know how old he is. I feel like it always surprises me.
Who did you say? Calvin Ridley? He's 23 or 24. One of those two.
28 years old.
28.
What? 28.
He was a very old rookie. So this is like Amari Cooper was 29. Calvin Ridley.
He also disappeared for a year, right? He was gone.
Yeah.
It's felt like 2. It's like 2 years.
But you feel like he's younger than he is. Like I just feel like he's 25 in my head, but he's like, oh my god, he's like kind of in his prime. Like this is it.
28. Yeah, so he's it. Yeah.
He's going to be good, but he hasn't really played football in essentially, like you said, 2 years. Because even the year he played, it was like, what, 5 games because of injury?
Yeah, he had the foot injury or something.
Yeah, I'm not sure we've seen him play football since pre-COVID. Like, it's like we're talking long time, man. This man it's been a while, man. I'm saying he would be different now. Things are different. It's a different world.
Pre-COVID, yeah.
I compared to Ridley, I like the Christian Kirk price. I mean, he popped last year, and I don't think they're changing the offense just because Calvin Ridley's there. I think Kirk will still get a lot of that action compared to him.
Yeah. That leads to my tight ends, I guess. We can talk about Evan Ingram. He's so awesome. He had a really good he had a really good year last year. I have him at tight end 9. I seem like I forgot to take a picture of my last tight end thing here. Tight end 9, Evan Ingram. I mean, he had a really good year last year, but we had boom weeks from like week 10 to like week 15. And the other week he only had like 20 or 30 yards. So he's somebody that I think
is he the last of those like boring safe tight ends?
Like he can make Lawrence.
Is there a such thing as a safe tight end anymore?
I don't know. I keep looking for it.
Who knows?
Well, yeah, I mean, so here's the one I like. So I found him. Kelsey Andrews. Those are you don't need to talk about those. Yeah. Darren Waller is the big one. He's been a couple years. I think the Giants. He's the only one there. You got injuries. Wando Robinson, Shepard. He's a huge target in the red zone, and Giants are a very, very good red zone team. He'll just make them better out there. Raiders, he had those injuries, but I think they're kind of fluky. You know, he had that impingement in his knee. He's had a bunch of other stuff. I mean, he'll be fine. I think he's the number one option there right now. That's a tight end that you haven't had. Like, you usually have those like Kittles and Hawkinsons, but he's one that like you could probably.
There's just no competition. Like trying to figure out like if you had to draft a Giants wide receiver to your fantasy team.
You're not.
Who? Like I was talking myself into Jalen Hyatt as like a late round flyer, maybe because there's some mystery there. That's it.
There's
That's
no
literally
mystery with
it.
anybody else.
I like
Yeah.
Paris Campbell. I don't mind Paris Campbell, but that dude don't stay healthy ever.
Yeah.
Like he looks good the first 2-3 games he plays, and then he has he always has crazy injuries, like his like
I'm
arm.
pretty sure he
snaps
broke his foot
off.
on the
Yeah.
touchdown catch. It was like a
Yeah,
long touchdown catch.
This is insane. Like he's so talented, and then oh, by the way, my foot snapped on that catch. It's like, all right, dude. Like, but like he's an interesting one too, because like you said, like also one of my favorites is Isaiah Hodgins. He was there last year. He just found a way to make that team. He's there now. So
I think
but
the fact that there's so many options that you could pick, and everybody's like, maybe it could be the one. Don't touch him. Don't touch any
Harry
of them.
Slayton's still there. Yeah.
No.
Slayton, yes, exactly. Like no, it's just you need to have a guy, and they don't have one. So that's like you said. I think Waller is going to become the guy in the offense at least. Hawkinson just got his Neil deal at 4. I think he's a beast. I wouldn't worry about his ear infection. He's fine, right? He had a little back stiffness too. Just trying to get a little extra mil, which is fine. Good for him. He's going to be a beast in that offense. They traded for him. O'Connell wanted him in that offense. He popped multiple weeks there. Osborne, Addison are the 2-3. So there's a chance he might be the number 2 guy in that offense if Cousins isn't liking those guys on the end. So that's one. I love Goddard. He's always lower than normal. I'm putting Goddard above like Kittle this year. I think it's just a good offense. Like Goddard does usually get those injuries too that he misses like 4 games. And you're like, man, but he was killing it before. And he has multiple games last year where he had 10 points or more. He's just consistent, right? Kittle, he's good with Purdy. We're worried about Purdy. Looks like Purdy's going to play as much as he can this year. Kittle does have a little bit of a ductor issue. He might play. He might block a lot. But if Purdy is out there, Kittle does play better, right? What do you guys think of Pat Freiermuth this year? We just talked about the Steelers earlier. They have no issues on both sides. Like this is a year where I like Pickens. I don't know about Pickett, but I have to like Pickett if I like the other guys in the offense. So what do you guys think about this whole Steelers besides we talked about Harris already?
Yeah, Freiermuth, however you want to say it. The Muth. I think the one thing, obviously, that's concerning with him, and that it's concerning with a lot of people in the NFL, is that a concussion is not on paper, and it can happen at any moment, right? And a concussion to him, is he coming back this year? You know what I mean? I just feel like you can see the players that have stacked them up quite a bit. I say he's at the top of, pretty close to the top of the list of players that are on like the list of if this happens again, he's probably out. So that's my only concern. But I do think the offense is going to be much better than it was last year. I think Pickett's going to sling it. And he would obviously profit from that.
Yeah, he's a tight end version of Tua, but Tua just has a lot more focus on him because of that.
I have Dalton Schultz at 8. He's tight end 12. I just think he's a safety blanket for CJ Stroud. That's also a team like I like a lot of their wide receivers, but I don't know who the one's going to be. Like I like Nico Collins looks like he's going to be decent, but I don't know if he's going to be one. Tank Dell was a good draft pick. He's a big body in the red zone. I like him. John Menchie's going to try. He needs to figure his stuff out. He had the issue, the cancer, and he had the ACL tear. So he's someone who needs to find his steps in the NFL. But that's not something that it looks like that's going to be a for sure yet. So he's good with Dak. You've seen that Ronald, at the Cowboys. He becomes the quarterback safety blanket when he's out there. Like I think he can get games where he gets 5 catches every game. There's no reason why Schultz isn't at least the 2 target in that offense.
All right, the suspense is killing me. Where's Pitts at?
Next.
I don't know. I'm a little scared. Oh, he's next?
I have him next. Yeah, Pitts is after Schultz. Yeah, so you got all those guys before.
So tight end
Pitts
9.
is, the only reason I couldn't put him too much is because he's playing. I wish he would have started on like the IR or something because we saw him in preseason. That knee doesn't look 100% still yet.
That's the interesting thing with Pitts is like he has all this fantasy baggage of people that have been burned by him, and then now he's coming in the year with a knee injury that was said to be an MCL. Those by themselves don't require surgery. Also, his knee kind of went backwards if you look at the video. So a lot to expect him to be fully recovered and him not to be used to block for Bijan a lot of times. So
like a lot.
I just don't know what to make of him.
Desmond Ridder has looked pretty bad.
I just can't see myself drafting Ingram or Komet or Njoku over him. I just
this
Pitts,
talent-wise, I mean, you're just kind of hoping that he catches a ball and does something with it.
I'm more safe now than I think I had Pitts at 3 last year, so it's good. I have him at 7 spots lower, so I'm a little protected now, I guess. But no, I'm even just talking about it now, he might be lower. I just Ingram just worries me. He just had those boom weeks. I know his stats look good. Komet, I love Komet. I draft him because he falls a lot in a lot of drafts, but more there. Mooney's back. the targets are going to be less because Kmet did pop majority of the year late last year, not the entire year.
He's somebody that like if I'm trying to get Fields, which I have been trying to get Fields in a lot of drafts.
Yeah,
he's someone where I'm like, okay, if I got Fields relatively early, I'm just going to target Cole Kmet towards the end of the draft and be done with it. So I'm just going to forget tight end, load up and everything else, and I'm okay with that little stack that may or may not pay off, at some point. And I think that's really all you can ask for a tight end at this point in your rankings. Is I'll just pair him with my quarterback and hope for the best. Like, see what something happens.
You're getting the double T's.
Yeah,
not a bad plan.
Njoku, I liked last year just because Brissett he targets the tight end the most. Watson doesn't. I'm not the least, but he still doesn't target him a lot. Njoku is super talented though, so like you draft him if you think he's available there, right? Higbee, this is Justin's little favorite. Just a little Stafford ain't gonna play well if he ain't throwing the ball deep. If it's a mediocre offense, which it looks like it might be, then he's catching 5 to 7 catches a game, right? No reason. You don't even need a tight end for him. If you're getting him 14 to like 16 round for a tight end,
he's always there at the end, right?
You'll take the 5 and 55 and call it a day. That's like 10 points. You're good. Like you're not expecting much out of there. The Dalton Kincaid is one and Laporta is next. Those are 2 rookies. I just don't rate rookies high, especially tight ends, because you need to have a career year at the tight end market to be a top 5 fantasy tight end. So I don't see Kincaid and Laporta doing that, but I do see them being better than like Juwan Johnson, Kongwo, and Dulcich, though. I think Laporta, we talked about the Lions, that whole offense just looks nuts. Like they piece that stuff together. Like Laporta looks like a good receiving tight end that can catch TDs. Iowa's always producing those tight ends. Dalton Kincaid, he's a slot receiver. So like you're going to get he's going to be on the field more than he should be. They have Knox still, who's a good blocker. So they need him out there. But he's going to take away, there's going to be, at the end of the year, he might be taking away Knox snaps. Like he's going to be extremely effective in the offense there. But yeah, those are the tight ends. That's my weak point, obviously, Justin. But.
No, it's good. Listen, obviously I can already tell you're gonna do better than you did last year.
You live and you learn.
We can say that for sure.
Yeah. All right, let's go around. We'll start with the avoids. We'll give one each, then we'll go around and give a sleeper each. How about that? Ronald, do you want to start us off with an avoid?
Yes. I do have Keenan Allen on here.
Ooh,
I feel like I've been burned a lot by Keenan Allen. He's a great player when he's out there. He's really good. I just can't keep getting burned by Keenan Allen. It just can't keep happening.
You're protected based. Okay, it's okay.
They have 2 other guys. They even have, like you said, Palmer. I think they still have Guyton too. Like they still have other deeper wide receivers. So if he goes down, it won't even kill them anymore. Versus I think if Mike Williams goes down, it actually would kill them.
Yeah.
So I would just avoid Keenan Allen. He will get you receptions. He might have some good weeks, but for your fantasy football playoff, it's not a guarantee that he will show up. And I just feel like we've all been burned enough by Keenan Allen.
Speaking of Cooper Kupp's hamstring, he had the 8-week hamstring last year that kept popping up. Keenan,
you can't miss 8 games, and you're like you said, your draft. Keenan's always drafted top 5 rounds, right? You can't do that now. He's missing too many games. This is multiple years too. He's done this like 2 to 3 times now. So I see that.
So Justin, now that you're out, it's gonna pay off. Everyone's gonna profit off. That's how this works. Yeah,
you heard it here first.
So
Keenan up.
So I'll piggyback on that. There's a wide receiver going in that same range and this is like the grossest part is if you're seeing this section of the wide receivers, you're like, what do I do here? DeAndre Hopkins. I don't know why I can't talk myself into him. I just it's the Titans for me. I don't know what it is. It's his age for me. I don't know. It's just the way things went with the Cardinals. I don't know. It just I can't talk. I know he's going to get targets. They're Tannehill targets. They're not horrible. But
Until
I just
when?
I don't know. They're not. Listen, I'm trying to be optimistic.
For the most part, I would say.
Yeah, they'll be there. They'll be there. But I just don't know that they'll be at the part of the field where you'd want somebody of his size to be catching the balls. I don't know. I can't find myself to draft DeAndre Hopkins, and it's just.
Like you might find yourself hoping for Levis targets eventually, which is not a good place to be.
Yeah. Oh gosh. Yeah, that's gross. Yeah, I don't want to do that.
Mine's kind of further down the board. I don't know if you can consider him an avoid. You can tell me. I early in like mock drafts and stuff, I was talking myself into Chris Godwin, second year off ACL. I know he hit great numbers last year. I just think it was all Brady. I mean, no Ryan Jensen, Baker under center, maybe Kyle Trask later on. It's just
you should say Baker under center first. That might be
Baker under a center who's the second string center now. So that's just I can't do it. I think Mike Evans will be less affected just because of route tree and stuff. But Chris
No,
Godwin
yeah,
just seems so.
That's what I was going to
Yeah.
ask you. I was going to ask you comparatively, if you're out on Godwin, what's your take on Evans?
Like, you have to be in on one.
I'm all right on Evans. Like
I feel like
I'm out on the Bucks.
I watched a lot of Panthers games last year, and I got to tell you, it was really, really gross. But I will tell you that Baker Mayfield can throw a deep ball pretty okay. And if somebody can if he can stay upright long enough and somebody can run a route far enough, I feel like Evans. I'm picking Evans in that scenario. I think that's the best play out of those two.
It depends what Baker we get. Are we getting Rams Baker? Because that's like a good Baker.
No, what was
That's
that?
like a
That was
decent
Raiders
fantasy
game?
quarterback.
I remember that specifically as a Raiders fan.
Yeah.
That
was magic. It was magic.
That was just Baker's like, I don't know anything. I'm just going to come in and just like be myself. Just go to sleep here. I don't know how.
Just playing ball.
That was college Baker.
He didn't know anybody's name. He just said number 13. Here's a foul.
Maybe that's what they're doing.
Game.
They're like, Baker, just go throw it over there at the wall, all right? And then when we start the game, we're just going to go out and wing it. Like that might be the move.
He talked to Rich Gannon about that. He said some quarterbacks are just like, don't give me a playbook. I just want to throw the ball and understand.
Johnny Manziel, baby.
Yeah, Johnny.
Johnny Manziel. No,
don't have a great track record in the league historically.
It's playground quarterback. You're just like you're going out and you're like, all right, 242. Go there, and
that's why it works for a week and then it doesn't.
Yeah, if you want to be a playground quarterback, maybe don't do it professionally in the NFL. I feel like if it's your full-time job, maybe I don't know, maybe not playground.
Not going to work every game is basically the big issue with that. I have two, and you guys all went on wide receivers, so I'm gonna go running back. They're in the same range. It's Miles Sanders and Alexander Madison.
Ooh.
Sanders. That was one of the best offensive lines he's ever had in his life. I'm on his under touchdowns at 6.5 at Prize Picks. We promoted that before. Like, I just don't see him being effective behind that Panthers team. I know they have it all. It's just they're got to figure stuff out. They got Thielen, they got Shark. There's so many new faces, new coach, rookie quarterback. I understand if you have a rookie quarterback, you lean towards the running back. Sanders is a decent veteran running back to lean on, but he's got his knee issues. He picks up a knee or ankle issue up. It seems like there's something that's not fully there. If they want him to run a lot, I don't see that happening. I see him getting 20 carries and then getting hurt after a couple games. I just don't see him helping move that ball effectively. The offensive line is nowhere near as good as the Eagles' offensive line. Yeah. And then the next one, just Madison. I just think everybody's like, oh my God, offense. Hey, it's like the Clyde Edwards-Helaire situation. I know he's a rookie, but it's like, Chiefs running back. Is he going to be amazing? Like, he's not Cook. Dalvin Cook. There's been multiple games Madison looked terrible. There's games where he filled in for Cook and he got the carries, but he didn't go nowhere near 70 yards. He gets 20 carries, he'll get like 60 yards. He's not effective. He's not the best receiver. He is better receiver than runner probably. So he'll help Cousins. He'll throw that out there. But I just see them just passing more or just spelling another back. I just don't think he's the go-to guy Cook was going to be. When he's getting drafted in a range that, like, I would rather have Dobbins than Madison. I know with his injury stuff, I'd rather have Dobbins. I'd rather have Rashad White. Talk about that Tampa Bay team, because I don't like Baker. I do like White more because they're going to run the ball a little bit. Cam Akers
range too.
But then you got Dalvin Cook. You might take Dalvin Cook at his new place just because of the Breece Hall issue. I mean, Madison isn't. I don't know if he should be this high up on the list for his talent.
So I'm kind of in on you, or in on you. Is that a thing you can say? Madison, I kind of agree with. I kind of agree with Madison. I do for whatever reason. I'm kind of okay with Miles Sanders. And
You're
Carolina.
Later.
Carolina connection.
It's not even a Carolina thing. Like, the thing is, I guess it is part of that. Their offensive line probably did get worse from last year, but I still think that their mindset is literally they're gonna run the crap out of the ball regardless.
Right.
And I just think he's gonna get enough touches. I don't know if he can take as many touches as they're paying him for.
Chuba Hubbard's all right.
Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't. Listen, to me, the fact that Chuba Hubbard towards the middle and end half of the season last year actually saw success can only mean good things for Miles Sanders. To me, I mean, if you're going to say, what about Chuba? What about Miles Sanders that they just paid a buttload of money to come in and hopefully do more than that? So
it was a completely different offense, though. New coaching staff. That's the one thing. If they had a good run scheme last year, it doesn't mean the run scheme's the same this year because it's an entirely new system.
That's fair.
So I will say that. I do like that. Like, it is good when you see teams running really well at the end of the year and they're bringing the same core back. Go after that because they scheme something that's going to work next year. But that one, it's just you can't go from top 5 offensive line to bottom 5 offensive line and still have similar numbers. This is where Sanders was drafted last year. You got lucky last year. He had career year last year in multiple facets. He looked good in that Eagles offense. But no, I get it though. You are a waiter, not like serving, but like
no. I mean,
like
I could
wait
serve
on
up some Sanders for you.
Yeah.
No, I just
like
think he's making Josh Jacobs money, man. Let's do this. That just could be. They're the same person now, right? Him and Miles Sanders.
Yes. Yeah, he's gonna get the touches. That's one thing. If there's a Scott Fish league, they have a point. I don't remember the exact point, but it's you get points for carries. So like people like Derrick Henry, people like Chubb, like people like what's it called?
Najee Harris.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
Those are the kind of people that are just going to get more points. So I can see that for Sanders, like he gets value in those leagues. But
yeah, it's a new place. Yeah. They paid him money. I think that's the only reason I'm a little more intrigued on him. I do think he's an okay running back, but I just think the fact that they actually threw money at a running back, my ears kind of perk up, and I'm like, what's happening over there? Like, there's got to be a plan, right? Like,
if I'm Miles Sanders, I cashed in, so I'm not doing anything this year.
You're right. Okay, there you go. Yeah, you're right. He takes his foot off the gas. He's got.
So
the bag.
Justin, in life, if no one does it, but then that one team does it. Are they smart or dumb?
Both.
In between.
Both. They didn't have to pay him that much money. They didn't have to. They didn't have to do that, but they did. So now why? Why did they do that? A little Windhorst.
He did score 11
touchdowns
last year. Brian Windhorst.
Windhorst.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
He scored 11 touchdowns last year. He's not doing that this year, so that's going to drop already. I think. Yeah, that's the one thing I will say to end this. But yeah.
Okay. That's
all right,
fair.
Ronald. Let's get your sleeper.
Oh, let me pull it up really quickly. Oh yeah, so Marvin Mims was one of them. Broncos wide receiver. Someone has to catch passes there. Cortland Sutton is there. I'm not even sure if him and Russell Wilson like each other necessarily. It didn't show last year, at least. So who can come in, make some plays? Marvin Mims, Oklahoma rookie wide receiver.
Oh, buddy.
I think. CeeDee Lamb kind of broke that Oklahoma wide receivers can't be good curse. So maybe Marvin Mims can, do some things while KJ Hamler and Jerry Jeudy are out. My other one, though, was Elijah Moore, another wide receiver with the Browns. It seemed he just hated the Jets. Clearly, even with Rodgers there, he still asked out. I think he has something to prove. He looked pretty good in the preseason. My main concern for him is just Deshaun Watson. I guess he's going to be a horrible player. If Deshaun Watson is pretty good, then I think he'll get decent targets. He'll probably score some whip route goal line touchdowns. So,
all right. So I'll throw mine out there real quick. Running back, I think it's Tyjae Spears. I want the backup to Derrick Henry. Eventually, right? He has to stop, right? I mean, he's got to slow down at some point. And from what I saw in the preseason, I think Spears actually looks pretty good at football. So even if he takes a little chunk and Henry doesn't go down, I'm not going to predict an injury. That's I don't think you can really do that. But you can at some point you got to think Derrick Henry might slow down, or at least they want him maybe later in the year if they have aspirations to make the playoffs and do something. I'm not sure they do. I don't know what they're doing in Tennessee. It's interesting. Obviously, you don't start. They're right in that middle ground area, and that's really the early season's going to kind of project how their season goes. If it goes poorly, Spears is going to cook a little bit. I think he's going to get some more run than you would think. So we'll see how that goes. But I'm in on him. And you didn't bring him up in your tight end rankings when you were talking about rookie tight ends, but Luke Musgrave, I'm just going to say it as a Packers fan.
Hell yeah.
He's out there and he's getting balls. All right, this isn't Aaron Rodgers as the quarterback anymore. This is a fresh Jordan Love. There's no bias, right? He's not gonna purposely look away from a good football player. And I think Luke Musgrave actually is a good football player. So he'll surprise some people. He'll surprise some people, I think, this year.
Jaden Reed, I like too. I'm not trying to throw a
No. That's the thing is there's a lot of really good young players there, and the timing is perfect for Aaron Rodgers to get out of there because Rodgers would rather throw the ball away than throw to these youngsters.
You say it was the perfect time for Aaron Rodgers to get out of there? Is that what you said?
Yeah, because we got too many. We don't have any veterans in the wide receiver room.
They would have somehow brought Randall Cobb back.
Oh yeah.
He's his bodyguard. That's what I tell myself because he doesn't play football for the past 5 years. He gets hurt and then he's just like, all right, I'm just gonna sit on the sideline.
I love him though. I love Cobb. I wish they weren't such good friends because I do think Cobb would have been really cool to be in this locker room with these people and just as a vet. We don't really have anybody in there right now. And it's going to be an interesting just to watch the first few weeks and how they adjust, because there's not a lot of veteran, except for on the offensive line. Like Bakhtiari's still there. So,
I was about to
but
say that's it.
what input is he really going to
yeah.
give?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Because Lewis left too. Mercedes was there.
Oh,
forever.
he was he was eternal. Yeah.
All right,
my-
Jacob, if yours yet.
Yeah, mine's just a guy who I like the situation. Damian Harris, right behind James Cook. I think there's a lot of James Cook's shoulders.
Yeah.
Maybe Josh Allen runs a little bit less this year. Maybe they protect him because that elbow last year. I think they're just going to ride the hot hand, and there's a chance it's Damian Harris for a couple weeks.
Mine is injury based. Samaj Perine. Did I say that right? Yeah.
You're on there.
That was Samaje Perine. That's what I say.
Somalia Samaje.
Sure.
No, he's going to be awesome. Javonte Williams, that multi-ligament like Dobbins, he ain't going to be effective for multiple games. It might be like the whole season. You might not see it effective games. That's also something. Running back rankings, Hall and him, they should be lower. But Perine's going to be there. Peyton brought him in. Receives the ball like crazy. He's very effective when he runs as well. He only had limited time in Bengals, and he was very good. Coaching staff wanted him there for a reason. He's gonna get way more opportunities than you think. No more Melvin Gordon, thank God. Right? We don't see him, and he just got released by the Ravens, so we might not see him.
Watch out! Practice
On the
squad.
practice
He
squad.
can still haunt you.
Still hanging around.
But yeah, no, it looks like that running back room is pretty clear for him to kind of spell, or Williams might spell him, right? Just the way things are going to go there. So he's getting drafted at RB37 right now, which is, wow. I feel like you can find at least 5 to 10 running backs that you would, that you don't want over him.
Piedmont's a good player.
That makes sense. Yeah, they brought him in. They paid him. Again, it's that thing again, right? Where you're paying a running back. Why are you paying him? Why are you paying this guy?
Do you want to use him?
Yeah, I don't know. It's weird.
In the year that nobody's paying running
backs. So I can see him being an 800-yard player. I wouldn't be shocked if he had 800 yards and like 7 touchdowns.
Even the catches, like if he doesn't run a lot, if I get like 500 yards from him, he's going to get at least 500 receiving too. That's his game. Like he's a good receiving running back, So
his floor is old school Lat Murray with Sean Payton. So
yeah,
he looks like Franco Harris kind. He just looks a little like bowling ball, nice beard. He looks just like running around, just like he understands the game. I feel it.
I think he's Oklahoma too. So him and Marvin Mims.
There's a connection.
Just draft all Oklahoma players. That's it. Did they go to Oklahoma? Draft
Baker Mayfield, then guys.
That's what I was saying. First round pick. In the real life, not fantasy.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Let's get out of here.
Thanks, guys. Yeah. And any parting words, let me know. But we'll be back next week, focusing on week 1 matchups, sneaking up on us. Season's here. Hopefully, everyone. Good luck to everyone fantasy drafting this weekend. And that's all I got. Marvin Mims, Oklahoma
draft.